Fish Story Gallery. La Chiva is the demon in me, and I am La Chiva. This is Fish Story Gallery, and today is our next segment. The segment we're calling Poetics, and we're using the tarot card, the Three of Wands, to represent Poetics. Now, we'll get more into that, but I did want you to say, look, the Three of Wands is not sitting here on the altar because it represents the segment that we're doing, the poetics activity, magical activity. No, the Three of Wands is the card that I, as it happens, drew as my card of the day today, this very day. So, I said to Chuck, we've got to shoot. We have to. Spirit has called to us and said it's an auspicious day to present the Three of Wands wisdom, the wisdom of poetry forms and poetry form divination. All right? I know that you have been dying to understand. What do I say? If I'm going to do a magic spell, abracadabra, what have you, what am I going to say? What are the words I'm going to use? Some people light a candle and they just say something on the spot. I'm preparing for that. They play some music in the background. You're thinking music, dance, song, words, smoke, fire, water, clods of earth. Watch some of my, watch some of our Fish Story Gallery rites and rituals and ceremonies. We don't really do I wouldn't call it ceremonies as such. I would say rites and rituals. But you do always want to say something, don't you? You always want to have a little something to say, some prepared remarks. That's what I call it. Prepared remarks. And I have in my book auspiciously titled Fish Stories, in which I have a lot of wisdom from the ages, some drawings and things. This is a magic book, of course. And special notes. I have some prepared remarks. My notes. Now, it's appropriate that I would have notes for this segment because this is the segment on poetics, on writing, on fixing text into the written word and then repeating it later. That's the most basic, kind of aspect that we're looking at. Personal poetics, the poetics of the individual subject. Now, what that recognizes is something I would call, or could be called by many people. Now, remember, that reminds me, this is from La Chiva. Io La Chiva. This is my wisdom to you. The demon La Chiva speaks to you and gives this wisdom in a channeled format. This is not, I'm not speaking in an academic sense. I'm not telling you this is the way it is and I'm not fixing things I am fixing writing. I am fixing things, but I'm not giving a master narrative. That's what I keep saying. Let me just write this here. Because words are magic. That's what happens in the movies and in the story. Someone says some magic words, and then as soon as those magic words are offered, the magic happens. Master narrative. No. See, it has to be done ecstatically like this. I'm going to talk a lot about ecstasy and ecstatics. I'm going to teach a university course on here, which is not a university, and it's going to be called Ecstatics 101. Now, can this be seen? It doesn't necessarily really need to be seen, but I'm saying well, let's put it on the altar. Master narrative. We don't do it here. That means, what are we left with then? if there's no master narrative, we're left with the personal poetics of the individual subject. Poetry and verse as song, as incantation, as magic spell. Poetry and verse as song, as incantation, and of course, as magic spell. So that is what we're really saying. This gives us the bones of our magic spell. We do some aesthetic things. We make some beautiful arrangement of objects. We maybe do something one at a time. We're going to do a real live magic spell a little bit later. But we're going to do some things in order, in a certain order that we decide. We're going to and what are we going to do? What's holding it all together? What's the real adventure of it is the poem, the incantation, the words that you speak. And we're going to figure out how do we come up with that, okay? A bit of poetic text as an instrument, just as any talismanic object would be. So the poem that we come up with, the poetic incantation magic spell that we create, is just like this magic wand that helps me to point to things and to direct my energies, my intentions, winding the clock. So it's a poem, a bit of text is just that. It's an instrument. Poems and spell texts are transitory, precious, and merely utilitarian objects, and merely utilitarian objects. So they are precious, poetic texts. They are transitory. They don't last long, just like wands. And as they are precious, but because they're transitory, they're also profane. They're just kindling wood to throw into the fire, even. Poems and the texts that we create will never last. They are sacred and they are profane. Quick and dirty, fast and cheap, out of control poetry. That's what we need now. So performance is what brings it to life. It's the magic, the tone that you use, the timbre of the voice. So we need to always remember that. And I say in this sharing of poetic divination that we're doing right here, we are saying, I say, read it aloud as you write it. So hear it speaking to you. Anything can be a spell. These days people are putting Instagram posts as a spell. Anything can be a spell. An arrangement of stones that your child puts down in the playground in a special way and dances around and mumbles things to themselves, giggling little childish things. You'll never know what that was, but I guarantee you it was a spell. And so, anything can be a spell, but how to make a spell fabulous? How to make a spell resonate with queer wonder. Queer. It needs to be queer because then it raises your eyebrow. You're like, what was that? That was queer. So how to make a spell resonate with queer wonder can be done with poetry form divination, which we learn together here. So how can the language be crafted with queer wonder? So what are the ecstatic ingredients that we need? See, I don't want to say it's systematic. But it is like divination. There's a system to it that you loosely work within, or you have your own personal system that you've developed for yourself. Everyone has their own personal system of divination, reading the tarot cards, divination, reading the entrails of the goat, the tea leaves, whatever you're doing, you have your own little way. Even if there is a way, you also have your own kind of way, and because the spirit is speaking to you, your eternal spirit is working through these processes of change. Yes? So what is our system? What is our divination form? Poetry form divination is what I call it. It's not a special title, no master narratives here. But what I do sometimes, I put these are poetry forms. A ghazal is a type of poetry form that has rules. An incantation itself, although I loosely use that term, a sonnet is a type of and these are marked by their formal qualities, like how many syllables in a line, how many lines, how many stanzas, which is a grouping of lines. So how are these put together? The blitz, the bop, the high bun, all of these are poetry forms that are established and known, and I put them in my little pot sometimes and I just draw one out, and that is a form of divination. What form will we draw? I'm not going to do one now, but let's just see. The bop. So it's like a few lines long. I can't remember what it is, but we'll do it sometime. I draw one right. If I don't know what form I want to use in the incantation magic spell poem that I'm going to write, I draw from my little pot of different poetry forms, and I put different ones in there to choose from, just like a divination. So what ingredients, ecstatic ingredients we need through which to channel spirit seamlessly through our human instrument, the mind? Our human instrument of the mind. Spirit needs to be channeled through, and we use language, but we use it ecstatically. So we take apart the different tools, we might use them in different ways. So we say the first one, I came up with the first formal innovation we would be saying, and we'll lay these out here, would be person. First, second, or third person. So, in a sense, we're asking who is talking? Is it you talking? So, if you're doing a magic spell, probably a lot of times you'd use the first person. I say unto you, I want this to happen. I'm making this magic spell for this reason. I'm talking. The second person, you are doing this, you are doing that. Third person, they are over there doing those things. You need to ask yourself, what person is my poem going to be in? My magic spell. These are the ecstatic kind of instruments. And so, like, good times, but moving. So I learned something, and the learning experience was also a feeling. So, like, it's good times and good times learning, good times understanding from within yourself, good times making something, good times fashioning language. But it's when you're in that moment and you feel it as a feeling of creation, that feeling of satisfaction and excitement as you look out onto the horizon of your own creative activity. Okay, the fire of inspiration. The fire of inspiration is associated with this card. The 3 is the Empress also. So for coming into being, the 3 of Wands is poetry form divination, of course. And when I wrote it here in my notes, I wrote instinctively, I wrote the 3 of Wands is poetry form divination, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. 3 exclamation points. And you know what exclamation points are in language, at least in English, and I know in some other languages? They are wands. They're fiery little emphases at the end of a sentence, a little wand going up in flames at the end of your sentence. That's what an exclamation point is. And I put 3. It's very meaningful because 3 of wands. What we're going to make today, because here we're going to make things, is a 3 of wands spell or incantation, we could call it, for our upcoming shoot of our solstice moving picture ritual. So we're shooting a solstice moving picture special. I don't know when it will air after the solstice, because we have a workflow that can't keep up with the movements of the celestial bodies within whose cycles we are working. We're doing the best we can for you. And so we're going to now write the incantation, the spell for the solstice ritual that's coming up in just a few days. Tomorrow, we're going to perform it, isn't it? Okay, how do we do it? That's what we're doing. And we're going to use the 3 of wands as the the spark for, so it's going to be a Three of Wands themed incantation for our solstice ritual. Could you die? What romance? Okay, so what do we need? What person? We're going to do it in the, I'm going to write in green. You need, this is another thing, tools that you use to write. You need a pen that writes quickly. I thought of doing it in big chunky crayon writing here. No way. I have to have something that I can just scribble out really quickly when you're making these incantations. What person are we talking in? First person, because I'm going to be saying, you know, we can say we, that's first person plural. Maybe first person plural, we'll say. Three of Wands, because we're going on an adventure together. If we're doing it as a moving picture to introduce to the world, then we're in some way bringing people in. So we will say we. I'll speak on your behalf, if you don't mind. Well, it's not your behalf. Only if you tune in. You know, if you're watching, you're complicit. So the first person plural is what we're going to use. So person. Now, stanzas, syllables, and lines. Now, again, no master narrative. Look somewhere else if you want to learn poetry the way it's, I don't know, supposed to be taught or what have you. I'm just doing my own thing. So, stanzas are groups of lines. So we have lines in stanzas, in groupings, and those groupings are called stanzas. Within lines, there are syllables. Within words, there are syllables, as in intermediate. Intermediate. So 5 syllables in that word. But if you put a lot of words in a line, because poetry flows and it's musical, you need to count the syllables rather than the words. And so we want to know how many groupings of lines will we have, how many lines in each grouping, in each stanza, and how many syllables will be in each line. Are you starting to get it? Okay, how will we figure all this out? We'll figure out by a divination technique, rolling the dice. So, how many stanzas will we have in our Three of Wands poem, incantation spell? 3? I didn't do that. Did someone think I'm tricking? Do you think I'm tricking, Chuck? I'm not. 3 stanzas. That's a perfectly reasonable number. How many lines in each stanza? Okay, how many lines in each stanza? Now, one thing I may do is if it's not enough to me, I just break the rule. If it's not enough to me, then maybe we add 3. We can always do that. How many lines in a stanza? That's insane. 3. So 3 lines in each stanza. Or do we want to make it 6? No, because we already have 3 stanzas. 3 stanzas of 3 lines is what? 6, 7, 8, 9? Yes. That's fine. You know, so the dice, I would add to it. But when we're talking about syllables, we might add. First line of the stanza. How many syllables in the second? And how many syllables in the third? Sorry, how many syllables do we have in the first line of each stanza? Yipes. 3. It did land on 3 on the ground, believe it or not. We've not rolled anything but a 3, have we? 3. So the first line, but it fell off the table. So it's like 3, give or take. We'll say that that's spirit saying, don't be bound by the rules, be chaotic. 3, give or take. Oh, you know what that may be a sign of, I think. Actually, I know it is. I feel it. I'm being spoken to by spirit. It's 3 syllables. See, you need to be scratching out. First line of the stanza has 3 syllables plus 3. The dropping down was a sign that we needed to add 3. So 6 syllables. So the first line of each stanza has 6 syllables. So the second line of each stanza should have how many syllables? 2 plus 3, please, come on. 5 syllables. Now the third line, we're going to absolutely let the die speak. We're not going to add. Third line is how many of each stanza is how many syllables? 3! I'm worried this is a loaded dice, except for I've used it for lots of things, and so, like, it's not. But, like, goodness gracious, it's given us 3, 3, 3. That's very meaningful somehow. I don't know how, but, you know, 3 is, of course, a number of creativity. We've gone over some things that the 3 of Wands cards mean, and that's just spooky. So 3 syllables, 1, 2, 3. So the third line of each stanza will have only 3 syllables. So this is going to be a little ha-cha-cha poem, meaning that there are going to be few syllables, not a lot to do. You know, if you think about it. So that is also puts us in mind of the rhythm. So now we know we know a lot about what our magic spell, poem, incantation is going to be like. It's going to be in the first person plural, so I'll be saying we. And speaking on our behalf, we're writing it together naturally. And the stanzas, there's going to be 3 stanzas. Remember what stanzas are, groupings of lines. And then there's going to be 3 lines in each stanza. And then there's going to be as follows. In the first line of each stanza, 6 syllables. It is decreed. In the second line of each stanza, 5 syllables. In the third line of each stanza, 3 syllables. 6, 5, 3. What does that add up to? 6 and 5 is 11, 12, 13, 14. Temperance. Nice and balanced. 14 card temperance. Okay. So that gives us a place to go with it. Now I'm going to take a moment to talk a little bit about other things. So if we have 6 syllables, I am speaking 6 things. I am speaking 6 things. That's 6 syllables. So that has a little rhythm. I am speaking 6 things. And then you have 5. We said we're doing, I'm not saying this is the poem at all. I'm just giving an example. We are speaking 6 things. We are speaking. No, we are speaking loud. So that's 5. We are speaking 6 things. We are speaking loud. We are loud. We are heard. That's 3. So you get the rhythm. We are speaking 6 things. We are da 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 da. That's a nice spell, isn't it? That's a nice rhythm. Let's. Oh, Deuce won't like it if we play the drum, but maybe if we do it lightly, she might even leave. I'm gonna do it quiet. So 6. First stanza. Second stanza. Third stanza. So you see, that is the rhythm, you know, and that is something you can't really, you know, like as you just with someone who's a dancer or not a dancer, as the case may be, or, you know, everyone is a dancer, of course, but not everyone feels rhythm in the same way. But when you're writing your poetry incantation, you need to feel that. So that is really a really distinct rhythm. So I'm having that in my mind, in my heart, in my body, as I go to write this, what is going to be a deceptively simple poem. So we're thinking about the rhythm. This is our form that we're creating here. And now we need to think about the rhyming structure. Now that is where whether we use rhymes or not, and if we do, how do the lines rhyme with each other or not? And so we have 3 lines in each stanza. So we could do could be like rhyming structure could be, so we have 3 lines. So line 1 is 6 syllables, and it could end with A. You'll see what I mean by that. Line 2 is 5 syllables, and it could end with B. Line 3 is 3 syllables, and it could end with A. So that means that A, B, A rhyming structure, and I'm terrible at explaining this, I'm sure, but that means that the first line of the stanza will rhyme with the 3rd line of the stanza. Or we could say, forget about rhyming structure, we could say word repetition. Do I have something about words? No, I should have put words. But we could, so rhyming structure or word repetition. So this could be the same word, couldn't it? Really interesting. So we're going to do it like that. Word. See, it's just like with cooking where you make a little decision. You're like, no, I'm going to put a little lemon zest instead. You know, like, and so like word, and it changes everything. So we're not going to do rhyming, but we're going to say that the last word of the first line in each stanza is going to be the same word as the last word of the 3rd line of each stanza. Are you with me? I hope so. Keep up. Okay, so we're doing it like that. It's not really rhyming structure, but word repetition. Well, do we call it that, or do we call it word usage? Now, word usage can mean something very different, but we're saying word repetition and usage because it's like the structure of the way that we might use the words. So like, we're saying like, so we're going to use this word over again. We're going to repeat a word, repetition. I love it. Okay, now, this one we're not going to use today in as such. Well, maybe we will. Yes, I think we will. The next consideration, I could call it, that we have is story. So, do we have characters? Of course we do. We have at least one, whoever's speaking. The narrator. We have characters, setting, where are we? Is that going to be obvious in the poem? Is that something important that the incantation needs to have? A story arc or narrative. Now, because this is like a magic spell and we're trying to bring something into being, we might not have a character setting, we might not have a story structure to our poem as some might have, as like, you know, epic verse or whatever, that really tells a story. But what we will have is a story arc in that we have 3 stanzas. Why not? With the 3 stanzas, you can think of body, mind, spirit, or you can, but we're not going to do that one because, it's kind of overplayed, really. And we could do like past, present, future. And that is good because we're not, body, mind, and spirit is not overplayed. I'm just kidding. Cut that out, Chuck. But past, present, and future is really interesting because we can do we're thinking of it on the solstice, which is a certain kind of new year, isn't it? When we start getting light again. So we think about the past year, past, and we think about where we are right at that moment, present, and future. Now, how are we going to work that in with all of this that we already have up here? How, say you? Don't you worry about it. Because we have stanzas. We have our 3 stanzas, and they are stanza 1. And it's gonna have line 1, and that is gonna be 6 syllables. And it is going to, what else did we say? 6 syllables, and it is going to, oh! Jesus. What can it mean? It has to mean something. We're just going to leave it there to just soak in. Except for what's on the floor. My God. This is the most beautiful and unstable glass. Stanza 1 has line 1, 6 syllables, and it ends with a word that we're calling in our algebra A. And stanza 1 is going to be about or reflecting on or representative of or symbolic of or whatever. Stanza 1 is the past. Stanza 2, it's all very, Ghost of Christmas, past, present, and future, isn't it? Stanza, oh no. Oh, it has these line 1, line 2 is 5 syllables, line 3 is 3 syllables and ends also with that A word. And then stanza 2 is about the present, and we have the same syllable structure and the same, but is this a different word though? Then do we say, and this ends with B. Now is where we get really fun. Now we say stanza 2, line 1, which of course is 6 syllables, we remember, ends not with a word, but it ends with the word that line 2 ended with, B. Then line 2 has 5 syllables, as we know, and ends with C word. And then line 3 has 3 syllables and ends with B. Do you see? And so, and that is about the present, or in some way reflective of the present. This stanza, some way reflective of the present, some way indicative, characteristic, something. And what's going to happen? I dare you to guess. Stanza 3 is going to have all of the above, but what are we going to do? We're going to do something wacky. We're going to take, this one is going to be C word at the end of each of the first and third lines, and then we will introduce a D word in there. And this is going to be about the future. All right. So that is what I'm calling the narrative arc, is the past, present, future. How do we depict narrative? How do we move the poem along in a narrative fashion, if we do it all? Maybe we're just presenting images, but here we are going to have some sort of just very basic narrative, which is the past, the present, and future references. Now, Now we say, we want to know these things. What's the topic? What is our thing about? What are the themes? What is the focus of our intention? Yes? So that is kind of what we're thinking about now. And so we're thinking, so here are some keywords that I have cobbled together to give us a direction about what kinds of topic, themes, and the intention that we're going for as we write a magic spell poem for the Three of Wands for the solstice, layer upon layer of creative layering. The keywords are flowering, life, new dawn, solstice, growth, adventure, horizon, a sense of purpose, raison d'être, a reason for being, striking vision of the future, daybreak, yellow, daylight, scare the living daylights out of the dawn. Scare the living daylights out of the dawn. Scare the living daylights out of the dawn. That's 10 syllables. Far too many for our little lines. But that's a nice one. I like that. And then the bigger picture. A personal quest. Map. A map. A poem as a map. A poem as a map of the past, present, and future. Oh my goodness, we've got lots to go on. Now then we ask ourselves, so we're going to use some of these words. Now what of these adventure, that's 3. So we can choose some of these words, but we also have to be very careful about our syllables. Now, what we would do well to choose is these special words that are going to repeat at the ends of our lines. So we need an A word, a B word, a C word, and those all appear several times, but then the D word only appears once. So what is our A word? If we use it as adventure, we use it as, so anyway, I like it as the word. So let's use adventure. So A word is adventure. Now that takes up a lot of syllables. We'll just note 3 syllables. And that's the A word. Now what is our B word going to be? We're just going to choose them. Yellow, dawn. I think dawn, because dawn is short, 1 syllable. Now, what's the C word going to be? Let's see, map, light. I'm going to say light. You're seeing the creative process in action. Light, 1 syllable. Now A, B, C, and D. Or we may switch these. Maybe light will be D. Light is going to be D. 1 syllable. And what will the C word be? Flowering. Let's have one that's 3 syllables, maybe. Horizon. What are we after, though? We're saying what's going to happen to us as the sun starts to rise again on the new year. We're asking for things. We're honoring the past. We're recognizing what is in our present, and we are reaching with hope towards the future. And it's about light coming back into our lives. Striking vision of the future, vision, daybreak, daylight, daylight. No, there's light, daylight. I'm changing this to daybreak. B word is daybreak. And so that is 2 syllables. So we have 3, 2, 1. And this is like daybreak, dawn, and light. Adventure, daybreak, dawn, and light. But then it makes me think adventure is wrong because these are all ones that pertain to light at or a certain time of day. Morning. Morning. I don't know. But morning is like the new chance. A new what was this? A new sense of purpose, renewed sense of purpose. We're thinking of 3 of wands meanings. A personal quest. Daybreak, dawn, light. And then something to indicate like the past or like the past of a certain what's like your morning thing that you do? Morning routine, morning renewed. Well, if you have any contribution. Well, I keep saying morning. So like what's another word for morning? Breakfast? Morning, breakfast. Yesterday? Bygone mornings? I'm gonna just use morning. Oh, we could use mourning, like MOU, as in you're in mourning for something that's passed away. That's really interesting. Now, here's where we have, I see. So we've said our intention is to focus on the themes that we want to experience. Our topic is the solstice, is adventure in the new year that the solstice will shed light upon. Yes, and we have daybreak, dawn, light, intention, focus, theme. So our intention is to do that, to shine light on the renewed vision of the new year in the new as the days begin to be longer. So what we're going to do, our performance will be very important as we carry out the ritual. The tone of it, is it like a preachy tone, a ceremonial, like hierophant, priest type of tone, and what is, I want to say, the secret ingredient of our poem? And so like that is one of the, and that's where I say that we can change it up a bit and we can say morning or mourning, mourning. So it's a little bit of a jokerooski. So daybreak, dawn, and light, and then morning, but it's morning, morning, which is morning has broken, the morning that you get up in the morning, and then there's mourning, you're sad and you're mourning something. So, and we're going to use it in both in that first stanza where the A word appears. Now, you will see how to construct. And there's other things. I call it secret ingredient when there's some little thing where you break a rule. You do something wrong. So let me just see, like, yes, I'm saying secret ingredient. The secret ingredient might be performance. It might be that it must be live. And what we'll say is we'll keep performance here because we do want to think, this is a part of a rite, part of a ritual that will be performed outside. There's going to be special things happening. So it really is going to be, the performance of it is a part of it. So we should think that as we think, what is the rhythm? How should it sound? And what is the secret ingredient? You know, what is the little sparkle that's going to make it special? Well, one thing, we've broken a rule. We said that a word is going to repeat, and so it shall, but it will repeat as a what's that called where it sounds the same? Homonym. As a homonym, a word that sounds the same as another word but has a different meaning and is spelled differently. So it's a homonym. I really think that is what it's called. I hope so. Anyway, so now let's think. So we've already written half the poem because we have very few syllables. So we say stanza 1, line 1, and we need 6 syllables, and already one of the 6 morning. So that's 2. And we need to end with that word. So the last word is going to be morning. Now, I suggest we have morning as MOURNING. So being in a state of mourning or grief. So that's morning, that's 2 syllables. So we need 4, 5, 6. So we need 4 syllables. In a state of we were in it we out of mourning, out of a from the time of mourning. Okay, fine. See, you can always change it later. From the time of mourning, and now we have 5 syllables, but we know that our B word is going to take up 2 of them and be the last word of the line. So we put in daybreak, and we need how many? Daybreak, 3 syllables. From the time of morning, we long for daybreak. Fine. Remember, quick and dirty, fast, cheap, and out of control. Now, I do have to and ah a bit. You know, when I'm alone, it's like for hours I would sit here. We long for the from the time of morning, 6. From the time of morning, 6 syllables. We long for daybreak. We long for daybreak, 5 syllables. The B word is the last one. And then we repeat the A word, but we're going to use morning, like morning, daybreak, as we've just used. Get it? Okay, MORNING, morning. Good morning. I just wrote it. So the last line is 3 syllables, isn't it? Good morning. Good morning. Done. That's the past. All right? The present. Stanza 2. Here we go. Now, what does it have to be? The last word of the first line, remember, needs to be the B word, which is daybreak. So it really is, since this is the present, this stanza represents the present, it's sort of our story is kind of like from the morning, from the time of mourning, like mourning the dead or mourning loss, we long for daybreak. Good morning. And now it's morning. Okay, so we are, so like, now is the daybreak. Now we sing of daybreak. Now we sing of daybreak. Job done. Second one is the C word, dawn. Now we have 5, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, dawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, dawn. We sing, now we sing of daybreak. We long to see, no, that would be too many. Now we see the dawn. See or sing? I think we sing the dawn, don't we? Now we sing No, we said sing. Now we sing of daybreak. Now we see the dawn. Now we see. Come on, let's not get too fancy. It's a quick one, you know, for an incantation, an instrument. Now we see the dawn. And then the next one, 3 syllables, and dawn is just one of them. No. C word. Now we need the B word again, daybreak. What do you think? 1 syllable, 1 word, something daybreak. It has to be 1 syllable. Ah. Or like, what's a magical syllable? Just one. What? He's done it. Chuck has done it. 1 syllable, but it doesn't say how long the syllable can last. Oh. 1 syllable. Om. Daybreak. That's magic. All right, now we have the future. And we need to have the last word of the first line of the last stanza is the C word, which is dawn. Have you seen the? I like that. Have you seen the dawn? Have you seen the dawn? And now that's what you would ask in the future, isn't it? Did you see the dawn? We saw the dawn. Now we're seeing the dawn in the future. Did you see the dawn? So like, have you seen the dawn? And now the second one needs the D word. What's the D word? Light. Light. 1, 2, 3, 4, light. Were you in the light? We were in the light. We behold the light. No. Yes. We behold the light. Now we see the light. Have you seen the light? That's good. Have you seen the light? Good. Have you seen the dawn? Now we get a little repetition, and repetition creates rhythm. So we get some little repetition here. Have you seen the light? Now these are all questions that are in the future because the future is a question. So let's have another just quick rule. Well, we won't. Let's see for the last one. Dawn is the word. So like, is the C word is dawn. Yes, okay. So dawn is the word, and we need 1, 2, dawn. It is dawn. No. A new dawn. That's the definition of the future, isn't it? A new dawn. 1, 2, 3. A new dawn. I think we've done it. Damn. All right. So, rhythm, secret ingredient. We need to know. We don't know what the secret ingredient of this poem is because we haven't finished it yet. We haven't written it out and seen. Here it is. Okay. Now, as you write it out at this stage, you think, do I hear something that's not right? Do I need to change something, tweak something? So here we go. We're just writing it out. From, now already I see something. From the time of morning. I like to make it a little more universal. From a time of morning. From a time of morning. M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. This is a very simple incantation, but it's meaningful and powerful because we've made it together here. From a time of morning, that's 6 syllables, we long for daybreak. No, I don't know about we long. Who longs these days? You know, we hope, we pray, what do you think? Has to be 1 syllable. Wake. We wake for daybreak? No, that may sound like wait. Or no, wait. Maybe wait. We wait for daybreak. We wait because this is the past. From a time of morning, we wait for daybreak. We can always change it later, just until the moment the curtain rises. You can make changes. We wait for daybreak. Good morning. Good morning, Arthi. That's Pupper here. Arthi, why don't you come sit with us? Good morning. Now we sing of daybreak. Now is the present, isn't it? Now we sing of daybreak. Now we see the dawn. Some more repetition. Om. Daybreak. Yes. And now, have you seen the dawn? But then I'm thinking it's an incantation. Should it have questions in it? Can we hold the dawn? Like, can we keep it with us? No, of course not. It's fleeting. Have you seen the light? And that's a bit cliched, isn't it? Can we hold the dawn? Can we hold? Can we keep the dawn? Hold. Can we hold the dawn? Can we hold the dawn? Can we hold on to? Can we hold on to the dawn? That's 7. Can we keep the dawn? No. Can we hold on to? Can we keep the dawn? Can we hold on to the dawn? Can we cherish? How do we cherish dawn? May we cherish the dawn. May we cherish the dawn. Because that's after the fact, isn't it? You cherish something after you, well, maybe you can cherish it in the present tense, I suppose, but may we cherish the dawn. Have you seen the light? Oh, there's my light. That's my pupper. Hi, sweetie. There's a good kiss from Arthur. Have you seen the light? But that's a bit cliched. So, have you seen the light? How do we say? May we cherish the dawn and still see the light. And still see the light. May we cherish the dawn and still see the light. Because presumably, of course, if you cherish the dawn, you are seeing the light. But if you cherish the dawn and you're not seeing the light of the day that has moved on, that you are a part of now, then you aren't seeing any light at all. You're not seeing, the light that you have to see, which is the light in front of you. So, and still see the light, a new dawn. Yes. Or the. No, because that's like, there's lots of new dawns, aren't there? A new dawn. The new dawn. No, but there's only one every day, isn't there? What do you think, the or a? A new dawn or the new dawn? Yes, because it's the only one you have. And look, Arthi came. That's very auspicious. Do you see, we're talking about divination right now. The fact that this dog came up and sat in my lap and gave me sweet cuddles while we were making this poem means that it's a good poem. It's a good incantation. Now, we're going to read this now. I really want to... The dogs ain't gonna like it, but... From a time of mourning, we wait for daybreak. Good morning. Now we sing of daybreak. Now we see the dawn. Om. daybreak. May we cherish the dawn and still see the light, the new dawn. From a time of mourning, we wait for daybreak. Good morning. Now we sing of daybreak. Now we see the dawn. Oh, daybreak. May we cherish the dawn and still see the light, the new dawn. I think it's got legs, don't you? I think it's lovely. A lovely incantation for the solstice. You see, this is when they show and we take a little bite. A lovely incantation for the solstice that we wrote together. Now, you will find that in the Fish Stories section of the fishstorygallery.com website. That's where you'll find our incantation, and you'll also find it soon to be released in our upcoming solstice special moving picture that will be released on the Fish Story Gallery YouTube channel. Speaking of the Fish Story Gallery channel, if you learned a thing or two, or if you enjoyed writing the poem, The Magic Spell, with us today, why don't you consider liking this moving picture below, make a constructive comment, contribute to the conversation, write one of your own poem magic spells for us and we'll read it. You write it in the comments below. Or, as always, please, you should have done it already, subscribe to Fish Story Gallery. Sweet dreams.